Thank you all so much for listening. We literally do this all for you. Before we start, please do us a favor. Subscribe, comment, and please rate our podcast. It would mean the world to us. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like to hear about, write us at contact@theneoelite.com. That's contact@theneoelite.com. Hope you enjoy the show.
You always have to start with why. A lot of us want to get abs. A lot of us want bigger arms. A lot of us want a rounder butt, whatever the case may be. But we have to ask ourselves why. And not only why, but like, how is this going to be conducive to me as an overall human being in the long run? I think when you too often pay attention to the end goal, it's really discouraging when it takes you longer than you thought it was going to take, whether or not you're not getting there in 3 months, instead you're getting there in 9 months. So you really have to some extent, learn how to enjoy the journey, but always remind yourself why you're doing it. And the why shouldn't always be those aesthetic goals that you see a lot of people having nowadays.
Hey everybody, I'm Zeplyn Tillman.
I'm Rebecca Franklin.
Welcome to the Soul and Success Podcast, a show for millennials featuring top leaders, influencers, and musicians, bringing you the best content about how creating and maintaining a healthy soul leads to success. On today's show, we discuss forming and continuing healthy habits with Malik Stevens.
Malik A. Stevens was born and raised in the United States Virgin Islands, moved to D.C. in 2009 to attend Georgetown University, where he majored in psychology and African American studies. After graduating from Georgetown in 2013, he joined the fitness industry, working in management, personal training, group exercise, and now works at Orange Theory Fitness. Malik receives his master's degree in health promotion management from American University in May. He plans to eventually open up his own health and fitness consulting business in the future. Malik currently inspires, motivates, and educates through social media and considers himself an influencer. He believes that everybody should be working towards a longer, stronger, happier, and healthier life.
Malik, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right, sounds good. So, we started this podcast because, as young people, we realize that mainstream conversations about success, conversations about the soul, not necessarily, a part of religion, but just in general, the overall bettering of our lives, wasn't something that was necessarily happening. And so that's kind of the crux of the conversation and what we kind of like to get into. And so what we do is we start each and every episode with some sort of quote or theme or book from a movie, TV show, and we kind of get into it. So the first segment is called Mood, because in order for anything great to happen in life, you got to set the mood, right? I know you know all about that.
Most definitely.
Okay, all right, very good. We just finished with the Winter Olympics in honor of having an island, brother in the space. I'm going to read some quotes by one of the greatest Olympic athletes of the modern era. Usain Bolt, 8-time gold medalist. He's also the first person to hold both the 100 and 200 meter world record at the same time. So I think that he's extremely fitting for this conversation that we're about to have. I went online and I looked up some of the quotes that he had, and I just chose a few that stood out to me. So I'll go through those, and then, you can just kind of tell us what you think about these, and then we'll kind of let that segue to the greater conversation. Usain Bolt said, "Believe in your dreams and that anything is possible. There are better starters than me, but I'm a strong finisher. I know what I can do, so I never doubt myself. Win from within, and you have to set yourself goals so you can push yourself harder. Desire is the key to success." So let's kind of get into this. From a workout perspective, from living a healthy life perspective, what do you think about what Usain Bolt has said is, one of the greatest athletes in kind of the mental that he, ascribes to his life?
So, fun fact, I was actually just down in Trinidad for Carnival. And
stunt moment.
What?
Stunt moment happening. Go ahead.
And and I actually met Usain Bolt. He was down. He was enjoying the parties as well. And I think for him, he's one of those people that really prioritize his hard work, but he knows how to have balance. And balance is key. And I think you guys have spoke about it many times before. But as far as those quotes, I think a lot of those quotes revolve around taking agency, being in charge of who you are, being in charge of your outcomes, being in charge of what you put in is what you get out. A lot of times you interact with people and they seem like they put a lot of blame, whether or not it's other people, their job, their parents, whatever the case may be. I think with Usain Bolt, what he just did with many of those quotes is say, I'm in charge. My desire, my goal, my work ethic, what I put into it is what I get out of it. And that's like a crucial mindset whenever you want to be successful with anything in life.
And I feel like for a lot of people, that might be one of the hardest things, is to hold yourself accountable for the results that you get. So let's take it from the bare basics. How do you even get in a mindset to empower yourself to start to set up a healthy lifestyle and continue it?
So I'm one of 8 kids. If I wanted to do well, if I wanted to go somewhere, if I wanted to work out, whatever the case may be, I've always had to tell myself that. I've always had to give myself those goals. I've always had to push myself. And I think a lot of time we have, whether or not as parents, whether or not we have that, just that comfort, that safety net. And so a lot of times it's hard for people to kind of get up on their own and take that initiative and get things done. And because they have that safety, they have that comfort, they're looking for somebody to tell them what to do next.
Mm. How do you get started though? All right. So let's say that like, okay, you've now made that decision to say, I want to get my body right, or I want to start eating healthier, right? So now that you've kind of made that decision, part of the fear is you just don't even know where to kind of look or, where to kind of start.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you then begin that process once you've kind of made that mental decision to say, I'm, taking this on my own, but now like, what do I do next?
It's a book I read recently. I can't remember the author right now, but essentially you always have to start with why. A lot of us want to get abs. A lot of us want big arms. A lot of us want a rounder butt, whatever the case may be. But we have to ask ourselves why. And not only why, but like, how is this going to be conducive to me as an overall human being in the long run? I think when you too often pay attention to the end goal, it's really discouraging when it takes you longer than you thought it was going to take, whether or not you're not getting there in 3 months, instead you're getting there in 9 months. So you really have to some extent, learn how to enjoy the journey, but always remind yourself why you're doing it. And the why shouldn't always be those aesthetic goals that you see a lot of people having nowadays.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think probably like the biggest challenge might be people don't enjoy working out. People don't enjoy all the time like sticking to a health regimen that means I can't eat this because I'm trying to get to, whatever it is. How do you kind of navigate that?
I actually agree 100%. I actually had
I
one
hate
of my
working out too, by the
Yeah.
way.
So I know that. Like, I actually had one of my clients tell me one time that working out is like paying taxes. I hate doing it,
Yeah.
but I have to do it. I
Right.
have to do it. And for me, like, I know I'm one of those rare individuals and people within the fitness industry, we're the outliers to some extent. We actually enjoy working out. Like, I enjoy working out versus going and watching a movie or taking a nap or whatever else a lot of people do in their pastime. I think for people, they got to realize that there's variety within being fit. There's variety within being healthy. For me, it might be going to the gym and lifting up really heavy weights for 10 to 12 reps. For you, it might be yoga. For you, it might be Zumba. For you, it might just be hiking. And you got to find what that niche is for you and make it work. There's definitely core things that you all want to have. You definitely want to have some strength training. You definitely want to have some flexibility training. You definitely want to have some cardio going. But how that looks for you as an individual, it varies so much. So find what you enjoy, and people don't realize that there's so much things you could do within the fitness industry. Everybody doesn't need to go to the gym and put in an hour or 90 minutes every day lifting heavy weights. Find what that means for you and apply it.
How do you know what is right for, you or your body? Are you kind of saying it's just like a trial and error, or are there some basic things that we can start with and then kind of, work your way from there? Because if you've never done yoga or Pilates, right? Like that could seem to be a little daunting because, you're like, I can't put my head, behind my head, or I can't do these poses. So like, how do you actually know what a good starting place, for you is?
Everyone's going to feel that way. If you haven't tried something, you're always going to feel a little nervous about getting into it. A lot of times, especially as millennials, we get a little nervous. And I think sometimes our priorities don't always allow us to reach out to those professionals or invest time or money into those professionals. But once you realize that you have one body that you're going to live in, you have to take care of it. You actually have to move. You actually have to work out. It makes that investment a little bit less painful. You have to start somewhere. And as fitness professionals, we have a lot of knowledge, and we recognize usually people don't have that same amount of time, that same amount of investment in reading about lifting, reading about yoga. But we've done that work. We want to share it, but you have to reach out. Sometimes you'll have to make an investment to get that information, to get the help from those professionals. But a lot of times we're just happy to help. We're happy that you're interested in taking your health, your fitness, your body more seriously.
I know that earlier this week, Rebecca and I were having a conversation about individuals who may not necessarily live in areas where, having a healthy lifestyle is applicable, to where they're at, right? So they could live in a food desert. And so there may not be spaces that have, like healthy foods or, what else are we kind of talking about? Like,
We were basically just saying there's many places where there might not be a gym necessarily like within walking distance or metro accessible or whatever it is. definitely the healthy food aspect. I mean, if you go to certain neighborhoods, even here in DC, it's pretty obvious where there's places you can't go to organic store, right? And finding that balance. There might be some place you could go boxing, but in terms of getting the access to, professionals who can make sure you're doing whatever it is correctly, it's interesting because I think a lot of people might not, if they don't have the resources to afford a gym, a free option might be a little bit harder to kind of like pinpoint what is up with their body or get the right professional or somebody to invest in them like they want to invest in themselves. So have you come across kind of clients or people who are kind of at that crossroads where it's like, I don't have the money or I can't get here or there's those obstacles?
So that's definitely why I decided to get my master's in health promotion management. So health promotion management is almost like, how do we get people to be healthier? How do we get rates of diabetes, rates of obesity, all those bad things? How do we get those chronic conditions to kind of see a decrease over time? But like I started out saying, like, fit is going to be different for each and every individual. So within that community where you have that food desert, where you don't have a gym, 24 access, whatever the case may be, fit is going to mean something very different for that individual than someone that lives in Northern Virginia and they have 12 gyms on the same block. So whether or not it means being a little bit more strategic when you buy groceries or having canned fruits and vegetables instead of the fresh things sometimes, or prioritizing on Saturday and Sunday, those are the only days I really get to work out. So really prioritizing whether or not it's a 45-minute drive or hour drive and just really prioritizing getting to that space so that you could get something in. Something is always going to be better than nothing.
So some of the big key takeaways that I'm hearing from you is that you're kind of saying, it starts with first just taking that step for yourself, kind of making that decision that you're going to do that, right? And then you kind of have to then figure out, why do I want to do this? Start with your why and then, find out what works for you. Get surrounded by a community of individuals, with people, and, don't be afraid to kind of reach out and ask.
So honestly, that's like one of the biggest things I could tell people. A lot of times you're nervous, and a lot of times we just don't have the knowledge. We want it. We want to be healthier. We want to be more fit. We just don't have the knowledge. And we appreciate you trying to take yourselves to the next level. So we're always going to try to help in some way. If that's directing you to a better resource, or if that's helping you personally, if that's giving you the information that's going to get you started, reaching out is such an essential step in that getting started process. Because a lot of times people just don't know where to go or where to start.
This next segment is entitled What's Really Good? What's really good. And what we do here is we kind of go deeper into some of the issues that are surrounding or, that people are kind of talking about within this space. And so I see this kind of from two perspectives and two angles. You mentioned that mindset piece, and I don't want to graze over that because I think that's very important, especially in an Instagram visual era where comparison is such a real thing. I really want to kind of get into, how do you find your why? So that's kind of like that first piece. How do you find out, doing it for yourself and not from a comparison aspect? And then second, this idea of continuation, right? Like, so after you start, how do you then be persistent? Because I think that's just like other piece of it. Like, okay, we've now started, but how do I keep it going? How do I do it when I'm tired? How do I do it when I missed a day? And now I start to, get down on myself, and I'm like, man, this is why you can't ever reach your goals. This is why you can't, you start having that negative self-talk, which, I do myself when I miss, working out or doing the things I said I was going to do, or, I'm sure others do as well. So how do we kind of move past that? Let's start with that first piece, right? That mindset. So in an era where it's so easy to, just be scrolling on your timeline and see people who you may want their bodies, or, you may want to look like them, or, you don't know how they got it, but just in general, how do you develop that idea of mentally letting go of the pressure to form an unrealistic body and, just have a healthy body that works for you?
Nowadays, especially, Instagram feeds into this feeling of inadequacy. Because even for me, people come up to me all the time and just like, oh, I want a body like yours.
Yeah.
But then I do the same thing when I scroll down Instagram. I'm like, oh, I want a body like that.
Always new on Instagram.
Yeah, that might be part of it.
I mean, that's definitely a part of it. It's one of those things where people are inspired by certain things, certain images, people are visually stimulated. So if it's just like, why is it that I like that picture? It's just like, oh, because this person's in a really good shape. I probably should go do the same thing. I probably should go work out. He's always in the gym. I think perception is really important as far as when you're scrolling through Instagram. You're always going to feel or see somebody that looks better than you, that has it better than you, that has more than you. But perception is so key because you have to scroll through the whole entire timeline and say like, but this person is in the gym 5 days a week. But this person eats salads and broccoli for every meal, whatever the case may be. So it's super normal / natural, and it makes sense that we're going to scroll through social media, just see people or be influenced in a way where it's just like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to ever be there. And people always say, I want to be like that person. I want to be like that person. But you should be aspiring to be the best version of you.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned eating in that and how kind of important the nutrition is. I want to get into that because I think that is a big thing for me right now is I will work out and then it gets to the point where I know the next step of like whatever it is means I got to change the diet up a little bit, right, in order to get the best results. But that's like a hard stop.
Yeah.
That's a whole, to me, that's a whole other mental thing I got to prepare for is like I can commit to something, but committing to two things.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So I think a lot of times we all have really good goals as far as health and fitness, and they're super ambitious, which is perfect because it's going to keep us grinding and it's going to keep us working. But I don't always think our work ethic and our habits equate to what our goals are. And so for me, it's a balance. Because I work out really hard, and you can see it on Instagram, you can see it on Facebook. But at the same time, I sometimes go home and I eat cookies and honey buns, and I'm a human being. I sometimes eat poorly. So it's almost like it's a trade-off. If you want to go that 100 miles, you got to fuel yourself for that 100 miles. If you're comfortable with the 80 miles, you can have a honey bun here and there. So you hear it time and time again, you can't outwork a bad diet. And if you Google good nutrition, there's going to be enough tips, enough small little things that you could work on, whether or not it's drinking more water, eating more fruits and vegetables, getting rid of the McDonald's we occasionally have, stop drinking soda, those types of things. Those are small things. We don't expect everyone to be eating brown rice, chicken, and vegetables every day. If you're a bodybuilder, by all means, go ahead. That's the mindset you should have. But human beings, we made honey buns for a reason. We made candy for a reason. We want you guys to have fun in your diet, and it should be flexible. So flexibility is key, but it shouldn't be so flexible that every day you're eating poorly and trying to outwork it, because that's never going to happen.
So we've talked about the workout. We've talked about the nutritional piece. So let's say that you've set your goals. They're realistic to a certain extent, as much as you feel like they can be, and now you've started them. Consistency, persistence. What's that mindset? How do we work through it when we know damn well we don't want to do it?
It's definitely not easy. You have to start off with that activity you enjoy. If you start off with that activity that you enjoy and you start building community, whether or not it's a class, at the gym, yoga, walking, whatever the case may be, it's going to hold you a lot more accountable. Community is so essential when it comes to working out. Because even just yesterday, a group of people hit me up on Instagram and was just like, hey, I want to kind of do this documentary where we all do a workout together and talked about what inspires us as far as fitness. And that was motivation for me. It's almost like you build community with the people that are sharing a similar goal. So whether or not it's a walking group, whether or not it's Orange Theory, any boot camp, any workout regimen that you're following, building that community is going to be so helpful in maintaining consistency.
It's one thing if you're at the position that you're at or you feel comfortable being around other people. It's another thing for you to be self-conscious about the way that you look or being able to feel like, man, I can only really walk 10 minutes, right? Like, where do you go then if you feel like there isn't a community for you?
You're never alone.
Okay.
There's probably going to be 500 more people that could only walk 10 minutes, and that's totally fine. Sometimes you might need to be that individual that takes initiative and starts that 10-minute walking group. Or sometimes there's going to already be something in place. You have to do a little research or you have to reach out once again to kind of find out what resources are out there for you. You just have to get started. And that's the hardest part, getting started, getting past the insecurities, getting past the buts, getting past the excuses that there's always going to be 100,000,001 excuses. Don't get me wrong. And some of them are going to be legitimate. But if you make your health, if you make your fitness a priority, you're going to watch those excuses just fall away, and it's going to keep falling away.
This next and last section we have is called It's a Vibe, right? And so kind of set the mood. We checked what's good with ourselves, and now we're checking into the vibe, right? So I kind of want to ask you, working out to me there's got to be some music, right? Or
Yeah.
else it's not going to happen. I mean, even in a class, low key, I'll be like, all right, we need to have something.
I'm the same way. I've sometimes left the gym if I forgot my headphones.
That makes sense.
Not
That
happening
makes
today.
Yeah, it like totally won't happen. What is like go-to for you?
See, that's weird. I'm very eclectic when it comes to music. So I teach group classes. So for group classes, you have to have a certain type of music, something upbeat, clean, nothing explicit. But then for me, I could work out to Ed Sheeran or Sam Smith or something. So it's very eclectic. But I think,
Stay with
but actually, so like I think for me, I do a slower pace workout. I lift heavier weights. So something more calming, therapeutic is actually beneficial for me. But then you have people that need something harder. I think more or less most people would agree that some rap is going to get them where they need to go as far as like working out overall. But once again, it depends on what you're doing because it'd be hard to be listening to DMX walking outside in the forest and it's a beautiful day.
Yeah, that is very true. That's not maybe what that music was intended for, but it's a possibility.
That's right. Rebecca, what do you listen to when you're working out? What's on your
I
playlist?
would say, yeah, I used to listen to a lot of Travis Porter. Travis Porter used to be like
See,
the
that's a good
go-to,
choice. Yeah, something.
right? Like that's the go-to.
Wait. Travis Porter, who was that?
Like before Migos, they were like the Migos before Migos.
I feel like Travis
post-punk,
Porter was
right?
a little bit more upbeat.
Yeah,
What songs did they have?
the Bring It Back song.
Oh,
Yeah.
snap. They was like
Yeah.
the twerk anthem.
Yeah.
Oh, word.
They had you
They had,
moving.
right. They had one with Jeremiah that's like no
Okay.
matter what.
Yeah.
Right? So I like to do something like I like to use like Pandora or something that I can't change easily. Like I don't have the headphones with the clicky thing. So whatever comes on, like it's got to be like I won't break to change it. So that's how I kind of keep myself from being like we're done and press pause on the thing and sit on the machine and be like wait this song out, you know? So I would say that, but I've been known to use like I'm a slow jam person. So even if it's running, like if Luther's on,
See,
Luther's
she
on.
kind of agrees.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 90s R&B all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, all day, every day. But I think it's just because, like, you know, like when we was growing up, like, you know, those are the first guys you saw who was like really in shape, you know, like
That's
us.
true.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, I gotta listen to Usher.
trying to look like Genuine.
I gotta listen to Genuine if I want to look like him in the video and do the
Yeah.
stuff that he's doing. So I gotta listen to Pony. No, but yeah, so that that is what I listen to, and I probably should break out of that.
For
but-
everyone, it's going to be a little different. Because, like, for some people, they like something they can sing along to. Some people, they like something a little faster paced, that's just throbbing in your ears. And then other people just like something more calming. They're slower paced with their workout. Whether or not it's elderly or people that just like slower music. Like, it's going to vary for each individual. And I think that's a key thing to think about as far as, like, your fitness journey. Like, it's going to look different. It's going to be different. But without trying, without getting past that initial fear of starting, you're never going to know what that is for you.
That's very true. I feel like a soundtrack always makes, you know, for a good montage reel of like when you finally get to the goal, like you look like Creed at the end of it. So
Word.
that's
Eye of the Tiger.
yeah, Eye of the Tiger. It's like no matter what, that's it. Well, we super appreciate you coming
Yes.
and talking to us.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate being here. Thank you guys for having me.
Nah,
Yeah.
It's all good. So, really quickly, when it comes down to it, can you give us in the audience just one or two like tangible things that they can kind of take away that are super important? You know, let's just kind of cut through the fat, no pun intended, and just, you know, give some real takeaways that somebody can be like, all right, let me try to apply these things and I can, you know, move myself forward.
As you say that, the first thing that comes to my head is, remember Issa Rae, she said we should be networking laterally. I think when it comes to fitness, we should be networking up. So I hear my explanation. So essentially, if there's somebody in the gym that you see and they're always there, they're always crushing it, they have the aesthetics that you want, they're pretty healthy, they're pretty fit, they seem knowledgeable, interact with them. Ask them a few questions. Hey, would you be down to get a workout in or something? Would you be able to join our jogging group or whatever the case may be? Like, that's how you learn more. That's how you challenge yourself more. That's how you gain more out of each experience. So it's almost like you got to network up when it comes to your health and fitness. You want people that are going to be knowledgeable, but at the same time, you want to be able to motivate yourself. The second thing would be read. Like, just read a little bit. Because a lot of times, I love helping people, and I like helping people transform their bodies. I like helping people feeling more confident, more strong, like just feeling more at one with like themselves. But sometimes you hear questions and it's just like, if you Google the question, it'd be the first answer that would pop up. And so I think sometimes you have to do a little research. You have to read a little bit, because we go to school, we go to college as millennials, we study, we go to high school, we get these degrees. If we want to be a lawyer, we go to law school for a certain amount of time. We have to pass the bar. If we want to be healthier, if we want to change our body, if we want to live longer and stronger, we have to do some work as well. We have to invest a little bit of time. The internet is going to be like inundated with like a ton of facts, like a ton of different opinions, but I'd much rather you know some of those opinions than nothing at all. So read a book, like try something. It might not work if it doesn't move on. There's going to be some crazy stuff that you see out there, but without trying, it's almost like you're just going to be in a standstill.
Yeah, is there anything in particular you would recommend over the other? Like, or is internet just anything better than nothing, like you said?
So, like, if you're just looking for general health and fitness, like, you have, like, the Academy of Sports and Medicine, like, those bigger, like, health and fitness industries that have, like, .org, .edu, or anything of that nature, .net. Just look at their recommendation as far as how much you should be working out, what it takes to be healthy. Because being healthy and having the physique of a Greek god are two different things. Most of us just want to be healthy, and that's totally fine. In addition to that, like, I think bodybuilding.com is a really good resource as well. And I only say that because all of us aren't out here looking to be bodybuilders, but bodybuilding.com, they have different exercises, different workouts you could do, and a lot of it is free. And not only do they have the week, month, 3-month plans for you, a lot of times some of them are free, but they also have visual, they have movie, like videos of them. They show you like modifications if you need modification. So that's been pretty helpful as far as like learning new things, or even just the basics. So sometimes we want to get fancy. You see on Instagram, especially with people like myself, we get carried away sometimes. Flips, dumbbells, Bosu ball, we're doing a lot of crazy stuff. Keep it simple, and sometimes like bodybuilding.com definitely helps with just keeping it simple, getting a solid workout in.
We like to end every podcast with filling in the blank and saying what soul is to each individual, because we're soul and success, trying to find the way that our healthy souls, can transfer into a successful life. Soul is, you finish the blank. What is soul to you?
Soul is being happy with me.
Really quickly, just tell people where they can find you at.
So you could follow me on Instagram, Malik, M-A-L-I-K, 340. The 340 is for the Virgin Islands. And if you're ever interested in just dropping a fitness question, a health-related question, you could always drop it at Malik340fitness@gmail.com. I'm always happy to help out. Feel free to drop a question anytime. I'll be more than happy to help.
All right, appreciate you. Thank you so much again, man.
Thanks.
You're welcome.